Fellas, another episode of the State of the Bulldogs. We are wrapping up the spring sports baseball. Starts the SoCon tournament this coming weekend. So a little bit lighter in-season update. So we're going to take a little bit longer on the Around the Horn. We'll start off with probably the most exciting news of the week. Rough one for the Back the Blue crowd as Scottie Scheffler was arrested on Friday morning at the PGA Championship. A little jarring to see our boy in orange. Grant, looks like you're wearing some orange garb in honor of him. What was y'all's reaction seeing him in a dang jumpsuit?
Yeah, the jumpsuit was a little extreme. Like, okay, we don't need to take a picture of the dude in jumpsuit, and he literally got out. But yeah, it was really shocking just waking up Friday morning and finding out that Scottie Scheffler was arrested. It was like, oh my gosh, what happened? And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm wearing an orange shirt and Nike hat for him. But yeah, it was just pretty shocking. And then watching ESPN kind of report the whole thing was kind of cool. Just watching them to react to news in real time and finding a way to bring like an hour coverage. Okay, Scottie was arrested. Let's talk through what happened. And it turned out to be an incredible social media day. Just all the different memes going through.
So many.
I was showing you guys all my favorite ones. I said like 10 that were my favorite, but this was one. It's Michael Scott in The Office talking about this is how we talk in the clink when he was talking his prison mic talk. Yeah, Scottie Scheffler on the first day of Valhalla. That's the way we talk in the clink. Just incredible.
That's a classic right there.
Just an incredible vision. There's so many others.
It's so fitting. It's so.
But this is a Samford podcast. Yeah, we'll need to keep going. But yeah, it was pretty shocking to see that.
Mike.
It's just funny because it's the PGA Tour. Man, I felt like it was like flashbacks to when Tiger came crashing down, like however long ago that was, and you know he's Tiger Woods. He's unstoppable, unbreakable, and you know his whole image kind of falls apart in a matter of days.
Sure.
And everybody's been talking about how Scottie's been on this run that's the second greatest run in golf history behind Tiger's run. And, you know, everybody's kind of trying to relate Scottie to Tiger. And I woke up and I thought, oh gosh, here we go. Like, because the first headline, I thought it was like a DUI or something bad. And of course, Scottie's such a, you know, great all around guy. Just had his first child, like, man, but I'm glad everything worked out for the most part. You know, we'll see what happens on Tuesday when he shows up for his, whatever you call it. Sam, you went to.
So they dropped all the charges. They did.
Yeah.
So
I didn't see that.
It was reported that they might have when this comes out on Wednesday, but yeah, they're probably going to at this point. Yeah, they will.
Which is expected. When the lawyer says we're not going to take anything, we're going to trial. Probably going to lose if you're the police department in this case, considering there was plenty of evidence that the PGA was directing them to do exactly what was done and all that. But
and we saw the police report
start of the weekend. Although I guess it was Friday morning for me. It was the weekend.
Yeah, then reading the police report that the detective's pants were ripped, $80. That Scottie had to reimburse the detective Gillis for his pants being torn up. Just incredible. Like all the memes on top of that too. It was insane.
So later that day, Friday was a huge day. The NCAA 24, 11 years after the greatest video game in sports history was canceled. Thank you, O'Bannon guy from UCLA who ruined the end of my childhood. 11 years later, the game is coming back this summer, and the official trailer was released. It did not disappoint. Guys, first team that you are running a dynasty with, Grant.
I was going back and forth trying to pick like an obscure, because you obviously don't want to pick one of the big boys, right? I was thinking maybe Florida Atlantic. I want to recruit guys.
Is Tom Herman down there?
Well, I will be in place of Tom Herman in this game. Find a way to recruit guys.
They had a football team.
We get an NIL fund. That's where Lane Kiffin.
That's where Lane Kiffin was.
Win after, but yeah.
The Owls, baby.
I thought he was Florida International.
No, I mean they have a team too, the Panthers, but they're terrible.
Who's Atlanta?
FAU?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
FAU is legit. That's a good one. Grant.
We can use the location, recruit to the beach. You know, get all the recruits with our NIL fund. We'll have working. Yeah.
Good colors. Stadium. Maybe they're gonna have a stadium builder. Maybe you could get some upgrades there. Otherwise, pretty sparse crowd once you get your dynasty rolling. But Mike, how about you, man?
Quite embarrassing, but I actually don't know what a dynasty is. I've never played the game.
No way.
So yeah, I was more of a Madden kid. Actually, wasn't much of a gamer at all, but would play Madden more than NCAA. So I assume that means you like are a coach and you try to build a team up and take them to the national championship.
Look, Grant, look at this guy. Did you go to college, man?
Total scrub.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Are you going to get the game?
No. I don't play video games. I play maybe a couple hours of video games every year. So
you're not gonna want to see Tennessee win their first national championship since 1998.
Look at the stadium. Look at Rocky.
What's it going to cost me? Like $80 and
$69.99.
100 hours of my life trying to win a championship. Sorry,
not to be a downer. Look, I'm kind of shocked, man. I'm kind of shocked.
I was never good at video games.
Definitely didn't peg you for a Madden guy. That's interesting. Learning all kinds of things about you.
Because we're in a Titan sweatshirt right now.
I am wearing a Titan sweatshirt right now. Yeah.
The fun days where the years where Madden and NCAA linked up, where you could upload your draft class from the Dynasty to Madden. That is wild. All right. Well, Mike is not going to be playing NCAA. That's all right. I'll put in all the time you would have.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear you guys talk about it every Sunday when we record for the next foreseeable future.
Sam,
you got to answer the question for once. Who's your pick?
Hey, who'd you pick?
I always like to do one with Army. I always like to do one with the Ohio Bobcats. That's my MAC team. But guys, they have and of course I'll do one with Oklahoma, but that one kind of gets old. I kind of like the lower tier SEC teams. I like to do ones with Auburn. Like to do ones with South Carolina. Kind of the teams where it's a little bit harder to put it all together, but
South
have great environments. Yeah, it's sweet. Great colors.
You are creating some enemies right now, Sam.
I mean, look, if Auburn wants to sit up here and say they're a big boy of college football, they can, but it's going to fall on deaf ears because they're wrong. But the most exciting thing from the preview was that they I guess this was released around the same time. They gave a list of features, and they have team builder. So we're going to be able to create the entire SoCon conference or just Samford, depending on how much other fans decide to put or how much effort other fans decide to put into it. But who knows? Maybe a little State of the Bulldogs sponsored online dynasty for a couple of lucky fans. Who knows? That's just something that might be a little bit of fun. Last question. Going into baseball before we head that way for the entire episode. The SoCon Baseball Tournament returns to Greenville. It's been there for the last several years, and it was in Charleston for 20-some-odd years before that. Is there a particular location you guys would like to see it played? Mike, we'll start with you.
Man, the people of Greenville and Travelers Rest need some college baseball in their lives. So for their sake, let's keep it there. But I think Charleston would be cool in terms of proximity. Atlanta is an obvious choice. There's been talk of the SEC moving away from Birmingham, so it'd be cool if if the SEC were to leave to bring the SoCon into the Hoover Met. But let's just say that just for Samford's sake, Hoover Met would be awesome if the SEC ends up moving.
That would be fun. Charleston would be sweet if it went I looked at the stadium here. Let me pull up the name again. I looked at the stadium. It's called Riley Park, and it's right on the river. It looks beautiful. Charleston is a little bit far, I guess, for everybody. But one fun little fact is that Furman has more conference tournament titles than Wofford, despite the fact that Furman no longer plays baseball. So that's a tough stat there for the old ankle biters. Grant, where would you like to see it played?
For YouTube, Sam, this is the Riley Park that you mentioned. This picture.
Yeah, so you got the marsh right there, and they've built this park, I think, along that stretch, and then there's the river just beyond it.
I think just like Mike said, not cop-out answer, but basically the answer we always go to for everything is somewhere in the Atlanta area, right? Just to wait for Samford to get closer, so somewhere some really cool minor league parks around there in Atlanta. We probably want to go to where the Stripers Gwinnett plays for the Braves AAA affiliate. That would probably be the best place to go. Just don't know about the amenities around it, but like for just location of the tournament itself, I think that would be a good spot.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I don't know if the amenities are necessarily up to par with a city like Greenville, but this just popped in my head because I was Team Atlanta. I was like, let's go to Turner Field. How sick would that be? Run it back in an historic park like that. Chattanooga. They have a great minor league stadium. They're building a brand spanking one coming up. The city can certainly host a tournament of this size, and Chattanooga is definitely one of those places where locals will show up. You would get a lot of bodies in Atlanta. Like you would get a nice crowd just because of the population and the fact that baseball is king. I mean, football is king, but baseball is right. I mean, it's a baseball hotbed here in Georgia. So I have no doubt it would be successful. But Chattanooga would be a fun, a little more central location. Might encourage UTC to start their baseball team back up as well.
I just remembered that Knoxville is moving the Smokies from Sevierville to downtown Knoxville, building a new stadium. That's
a good one.
Prime location,
yep.
Central to all schools.
Even VMI.
Downtown Knoxville's got a lot going on. Even VMI could get there.
That would be fun. That's a good one right there. Yeah. Look, the Tennessee Mountains, you got to talk about pretty. And then Knoxville has all the amenities Chattanooga does, plus some. And it's a little more central. I guess you'd get less crap from the UNCG and the VMI crowd. But I like that. Knoxville. Yeah, I mean, we just need to get it out of Greenville. Because no offense to Greenville, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of local buy-in. We just need a slightly bigger city to get randos to show up and create a little bit more fun of an environment.
I think maybe smaller the park too. You don't want obviously be so many seats to be so kind of quiet. I think maybe if you can find someone that would size wise, obviously minor league parks aren't huge, obviously, but somewhere in that small few thousand range, I think would be good.
Yeah, it's tough to say. Like when I lived in Houston, I would go to the Shriners Baseball Classic, basically kickoff college baseball tournament. And there were big names, and sure, for like the LSU Texas game, there would be 10,000 people. But for like the Texas Southern versus Texas Tech game, there was really nobody there. So it's certainly cavernous feeling. But if you're thinking about it from the experience of the guys, it's so much more fun to play in a major league park like that. Even if there's not, I mean, let's be real, it's not like there's 10,000 people showing up to Greenville to watch the SoCon tournament. So might as well play in a really cool spot. So yeah, Turner is huge, but if you could play at Turner Field, right?
Yeah.
Classic. Oh man. But let's get to baseball. We got the SoCon tournament coming up. We dropped the final series to Wofford, but we won the all-important game that we needed to get Michael Ross on the mound. Classic dub. Brooks Rice. The other headline of the weekend was that Brooks Rice has returned. Did not look great in his first game back. Pitched just into the second inning. Got dinged up for about 5 runs. Wasn't awesome. But the fact that he's back certainly makes us feel a little bit better. I wish he could have gone like 4 innings and 3 runs. I would feel a whole lot better about his status. But if he can shape up, the Dogs are going to be dangerous.
I mean, you really mentioned it. They really obviously need that first game because you asked us this question last week. Are we going to get swept? I said, Rossi's pitching game 1. It's not going to matter. Well, at least they pitched game 1, had a 9-run 8th inning. They're down 5-1 going to the 8th, scored 9 in the bottom half. I'm pretty sure Staten and John Anderson hit homers. But then after that, the vibes were just kind of off after that. I don't know if it was like same thing from the team. Okay, we won 1 game. Let's see how the other 2 go. Maybe Sunday was kind of the same thing. Okay, we don't even need this one. We already have the 2 seed locked up, and maybe it's just a matter of let's just see how this goes. But still, the vibes were obviously not great, losing 2 or 3 at home at the end of the year.
Yeah, so my brother got married this weekend, and it was an amazing time. But we're sitting there on the porch. This was Thursday night. We were having kind of a cousins dinner, aunts and uncles, cousins, all that jazz, right? And we're sitting there on the porch, and I tell one of George, my brother went to Wofford, and so all of his groomsmen are there. They all went to Wofford. I'm like, hey, can somebody check the Wofford Samford score? And we had just put up the 8 runs or the 9 runs. And they were ticked. They're like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, here we go. We're going to get that one dub. I don't care if this is the last one we get. Epic. I mean, it kind of just brings you right back to last year where we just had to have the runs. We were down, 5-1, 5-2, Grant, going into that inning?
Yeah, 5-1 going the bottom of the 8th. Yep.
And our best chance to win a game is always the game Ross is pitching. And to freaking plate that many runs is insane. Insane. When that happened, I thought we would sweep, frankly, and then we dropped the next 2. So obviously not the momentum I thought it could be, but still fun nonetheless. All right, so let's get to the tournament. So UNCG clinched the 1 seed, as we kind of alluded to last week. We were really their only threat, and we had to sweep Wofford to do it. So they clinched the 1 seed. They ended the season with a non-conference series and won that 2-1. Western actually ended up being the 4 seed, but had the best offense in conference with 201 runs scored. Samford was second with 190. So kind of like a 2-game advantage over Samford if you're scoring about 5 to 6 runs a game. So pretty impressive there by Western. On the flip side, UNCG, best defense, only allowed 119 runs. Samford allowed 145. So that just is a testament to our offense and kind of our clutch playmaking ability in that many runs allowed doesn't usually line up with the 2 seed, much less the 1. So good on us for just figuring out ways to win and using our bats to our advantage because that was middle of the pack for the SoCon. The bracket is lined up fairly well for us. I don't know if you all have looked at it too closely, but the 2 things that popped out to me, we've lost 2 conference series this year, Wofford and UNCG. Well, guess who we wouldn't have to play until the semifinals? Wofford and UNCG. So Wofford as the 5 seed has to tee it off with Citadel in the very first game. Then they got to go play Western, and then they get to play UNCG if they get by Western. Whereas we get on our little side, we have VMI, Mercer, and ETSU. Teams that now ETSU, they have some really strong bats that we'll talk about in a minute. But those 3 teams are a whole lot less scary than Western and Wofford. So it may have worked out in our favor to be the 2 seed. With that said, as we learned last year, you really got to win the first game because we play our first game at 12:30 on Friday. If we lose that game, we turn right back around, burn our second arm Friday night at 7:30. So that's not ideal. We got to win this one. You can lose the next one, but you got to win the very first game.
Yeah, which is why you obviously have to throw Ross game 1. You obviously can't fall into that trap and wait like some teams do, wait for their ace. And then a tournament like this, maybe in still a tournament, bigger teams can wait, but not in a conference tournament. You need your ace thrown game 1 and have the same recipe that they did against Wofford and have a lot of Fridays where Ross goes 7 to 8 somewhere in there, and then Laura finishes up the last 1 to 2 innings.
Yeah, this tournament is certainly going to be won or lost based on how well our pitching does, and I would not be that confident, frankly. If you had asked me 6 weeks ago, well, that's too many. If you had asked me 4 weeks ago, I would have said that we're going to win the conference tournament 7 out of 10 times. At the moment right now, I bet we win 3 out of 10 times. I think we still can, right? But the watching how we lost to UNCG, watching how we lost to Wofford, doesn't instill a lot of confidence. But you can rest on the fact that our bats are elite. Mike, you look like you want to say something.
Well, I was just say, especially, it's nice that we beat or we won the series against ETSU at ETSU. But if we do lose that game and have to play Wofford or Western, and then 2 additional games to get back to the same spot, I don't think we've got the pitching depth for that. So, got to win that first game.
Okay, well, the double-edged sword. So yes, we certainly don't. But If you think about it, if you can kind of spin this one. You can kind of spin this one. We don't have good pitching depth, but we have a lot of like average pitchers, you know? So we can just keep throwing bodies out there and we still have a chance with our offense. But then it kind of turns into a softball game without their aces. And in baseball, if you're just out there trying to score 15 runs before they get to 50, it's like that's not where you want to be. But we have enough average pitchers to give ourselves a chance if we do fall into that. But as you said, Mike, not the ideal situation.
Yeah, Sam, here's our run last year. Pulled up, beat ETSU in the quarters, lost to Wofford, beat UNCG, obviously that first game on Saturday, winning 3 games in one day, beating Wofford 2 to get the title. In those matchups, we had guys really step up and basically pitch their best games. I think Jake Holyfield last year threw 6 innings, like a 3-hit ball. So it's going to take guys like that who haven't pitched that well throughout the rest of the year to step up when it matters the most. And so they've gotten a lot of that last year. I think they'll have to do the same recipe again, especially if we win the first one with Ross and then lose the second one like we did last year.
Yeah, if you note the scores in that run are all very manageable, right? This year, for whatever reason, it seems is prone to give up a huge inning every few games. And it kills us. It kills us because we might be able to get to 8 runs, 9 runs, which is still a lot. But when you give up 5 to Wofford, when you give up 6 or 7, it was to UNCG, that like not only is it a momentum killer, but it feels insurmountable to a degree. And you're just out there for so long. You're burning through arms trying to find an answer. That's the biggest difference this year, I think, that is going to bite us, is if we get to this tournament and we start giving up 4 runs in an inning, 3 runs in an inning, we can give up 1 or 2 for 4 or 5, right? That's fine. Solo homers. But we avoid the walks. We avoid the hit by pitches. And basically, if we can limit the free base runners, that's how we're going to win the tournament without the elite pitching that would allow us to easily win, or allow any team, frankly, to easily win.
Yeah, another guy that stepped up last year. It's had a struggling this year. Turner Thompson was a guy who thought that he would be the kind of the guy in the back of the pen before Leroy stepped up when he transferred in. So he's another guy who pitched well in the tournament last year, and he's going to have to do the same thing again, depending on whether he gets out there or not. Because like you said, you're playing your 4th game, second in that day, you're going to need guys like this to step up. And Turner definitely did it last year, and he can definitely do it again, although he's got a 8.5 ERA and 18 appearances this year in 20 innings. So,
yeah, Will Lynch is another name that really shined at the end of last season. And he's had his moments, but for the most part, it's been a pretty poor season for him. Look, with guys like that, that's kind of who we have, right? We have guys like that who have high ceilings. They have high ceilings. They flashed, but they really haven't proven it out, which, once again, like the combo of Michael Ross on Friday and then just how good our offense is all 3 days is the only reason we are in this spot to begin with. Because looking at how we've played these last few series, we should be the 4 or 5 seed. That's how scary some of these teams are. And the way I was kind of looking at guys, if I was going to pick one team outside of the top 2, it's got to be Western. They are balanced, and they have the bats to make any team or to keep them in really any game. I don't see UNCG winning. I just don't think – I think at some point, like, this is just kind of taking the conference as a whole. Their pitching seemed to perform so much better than the rest of the pack. You got to think at some point they kind of fall back down to earth, but we'll see. We'll see. Their offense is okay. I think Western has the best odds outside of the top 2. And if I had to pick UNCG or Samford, if it came down to it, I got to go Samford. But the past, 5 seasons, it's been Samford 3 times, UNCG once, and then Mercer once. So,
forgot about this, but a couple weeks ago, until finding out a couple weeks ago, UNCG was picked to finish 6th in the conference this year and ended up winning it outright. So
very similar to us last year. We were picked 4th or 5th.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and then ended up winning. That's a Interesting. We, for the record, we do not have a vote. We don't have a media vote. They don't care about our opinion like that, even though
Not yet.
Don't go look at the baseball preview because my goodness, I think I had the standings reversed outside of us, UNCG. VMI did not perform as expected, and Mercer certainly did not. My goodness.
That's a great call. I'm gonna look that up now that you mentioned that.
Do not. But one spot where I had it right. We'll get to the pictures in a minute.
Stateofthebulldogs.com is where you can find this, by the way.
That's
our
right.
website.
That's right. And we might have a little SoCon baseball tournament preview up before Friday.
Yes.
No promises.
I'm planning on working that. Hopefully have it out by Thursday. So
amazing. As far as players of the year, so there have been some shining stars in the conference so far this year. So ETSU had two incredible hitters, Nick Ian Antone. No, Grant, he's showing the standings.
All right, Sam, your standings were Samford 1, Mercer 2, VMI 3, Wofford 4, Western 5. You picked UNCG 6th as well, ETSU 7th, and then Citadel rounding it out at 8th.
I think I was too biased with returning production, which is why UNCG got dinged a little bit.
Yeah.
And I bought into the VMI hype. All right. I was way too biased from the 11.7 guys who were big VMI believers. I mean, they had VMI winning it, or at least one of them did, which I did not agree with, but certainly slept on UNCG. I think outside of Samford, the closest one was Citadel and Western, because Western was 4th. But outside of that, terrible. I would say I will learn and be better, but it's preseason rankings, baby. They're not going to get better. But going back, the two ETSU hitters who have a pretty good chance of winning hitters of the year were Nick Ian and Tone. Do not know how to say his name. Apologize. He's a stud. Batted .429 in conference. I guess there was no one on base when he was hitting because he only had about 19 RBIs, which is half of what all of the other big-time hitters in the – right, it was crazy, especially because the other dude – I'll get to him in a minute had even more. He batted .429 in conference and led the conference in hits with 39. The other ETSU batter, Cameron Cisneros, again, apologize if I'm butchering that last name, but
he
batted – the average was lower, but my goodness, when he hit, they scored. Led the conference in RBIs and homers. He batted .356, had 37 RBIs and 13 homers. Solid chance just by leading the conference in those two statistics to bring home the title. And then it was John. So we've always had a guy in the hunt. Shocking. Our offense is great. It was John Anderson there for a hot minute. But as the season just kept on going, our tried and true Garrett Staten, super consistent elite hitter, has a fantastic shot to win this award as well. He batted a little bit lower than Nick, .384, but only one less hit, 38. And then more than double in home runs. So Garrett had 8 and almost double RBIs, hit 34 RBIs. So Garrett, if you're looking for the balanced, kind of the in-between guy with great overall stats, it's going to be Garrett. If the voters lean hitting or just hits and average, it's going to go to Nick. And if they value slug and RBIs, it's going to go to Cameron. But we'll see. That's the 3-horse race that I see. As we have seen, the SoCon media voters tend to see what they want to, kind of harkening back to the shocking softball all-conference teams and awards. But on the pitching side, it's much more clear. It's a 2-horse race. I will be stunned if it's anybody outside of these two guys. Zach Cohen for Wofford and Michael Ross from Samford. Here we go. ERAs. Michael's sitting there with a 2.8, and Zach has a 3.6. Advantage Ross. Wins. Ross has 7, Zach has 4. That's a little bit, on the team as well, but still advantage Ross. Strikeouts is where Zach really pulls that, gives himself a chance here. He has 60 to Ross's 42. Neither one walked that many guys, both had 10. And then, interestingly, had the exact same innings pitched, assuming that these conference statistics are accurate, which is not necessarily true. But then the home runs were about even as well. Like Michael had 4, Zach gave up 5, or Zach gave up 4, Michael gave up 5. Kind of a coin flip. Again, if you go just power pitching, strikeouts, Zach's going to win it. If you go just great overall winner, then Michael's going to win it. But incredible seasons from those two guys. Would be awesome if I was able to actually predict a homer pick that Michael Ross wins pitcher of the year. I'm sure Grant's not going to pull that one up. But
no, I'm pretty sure you had that. But yeah, that would be. You did. Sorry, I do have your predictions right here. You did say Michael Ross will earn pitcher of the year. That was one of your predictions. So
that's right, baby. That's right.
You'll definitely be 1 for 4. Samford, second place, SoCon. You had Josh Rodriguez as POY. He kind of had a slow last month or so. And then you had Samford getting to its first ever super regional, which obviously is still TBD. So,
yeah. Odds are not great there. But look, you really just never – it's college baseball. If we were able to get through Greenville, it's all going to depend on who we get matched up with. And then even then,
Yeah.
That was certainly wishful thinking, but you never know.
Yeah, of course, we had Jake Cravey last year was the SoCon pitcher of the year. It would be pretty sick if Samford should have 2 back-to-back pitchers of the year, which especially with this lineup that they roll out every game.
Well, we don't need to think about this too long, but can we just, for one moment, Cravey and Michael Ross, 1-2 punch? My goodness. The way the bullpen turned it on at the end, I mean, we had 3 pitchers, 2 outside of Cravey get drafted. We're not having we're not having more than 1 or 2 guys get drafted this year from the pitching standpoint.
I could have 2, but yeah, I see.
Yeah, I think we'll have 2. I'll be stunned if it's 3. We'll see though. We'll see. That 1-2 punch is good enough to get you maybe to Omaha. 2 elite arms like that. If they're on it, like we get through the regional, if they're on it, it's 2 out of 3 in the supers, right?
Yeah.
If they both pitch well, my gosh, the Cravey, I can't remember the Southern Misses guy, pitcher's guy.
Tanner Hall. Yeah, he was.
Tanner Hall, thank you. Who was a stud, right? He was ace versus ace, incredible game. And then our number, if Michael Ross would have been their number 2 easily. So, and Southern Miss is a powerhouse. Mid-major powerhouse, but a powerhouse in that sense.
That and Auburn lost to Penn, so you would have gone into game 2 1-0 against Penn, and that's in that regional, especially if Ross was healthy last year too.
Jeez, those bunters. Anyway, yeah, that would have been incredible. We can't think about it too much. So, let's just throw out a little prediction here, Mike. Who's going to be your conference champion this weekend?
Sam, you sold me on Western.
Kind of a fun pick. Daunting challenge, though.
We like offense. We like offense at Samford.
We do. Football, basketball, baseball.
Kind of basketball. Yeah, definitely basketball, actually. Baseball.
Too bad the old adage is defense wins championships. Grant, what is your prediction?
Not anymore. Gosh, Mike, you picked Western to win basketball, and I got Western to win baseball.
Right.
Hummer. Yeah.
He's a Catamount.
I did not put money on this one, though. I did not
join the Catamount Forum or whatever it's called.
That is true. Unless you're a former Alabama head coach, I don't think you can bet on college baseball like this.
Facts. Or a Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher, but continue.
Well, that too, yeah. I think Samford still finds a way to get it done. I mean, repeating is hard. I'm pretty sure in the Casey Dunn era, we never obviously went back-to-back tournaments. So for Tony to do that in his 3rd year after Casey took 2 of his assistants last year over to UAB would be pretty sick. Would be a pretty sick story. So I think Samford can find a way to get it done.
Yeah, it's a very tight-knit team, as these Tony David teams usually are. But the lack of pitching is concerning.
It is.
Just hard to pick Samford when you look at it objectively. But frankly, it's a little bit difficult to pick UNCG. I'm taking the field. I don't know if it's going to be Western. Pray to God it's not Wofford. And I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be a fun tournament. Hopefully, we'll do a little live episode before the championship if Samford makes it. So hopefully we'll see everybody Sunday for a little live action there. But it's going to be a great tournament. Go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, and then the selection show would be Monday on Memorial Day, Monday morning. So if Samford does find a way, tune in there too.
Incredible. Definitely doing a live reaction if that were the case. So tune in 12:30 Friday. If we were able to win that, easy time to watch on Saturday right there at noon. And then the Sunday championship game is also at noon. If we lose any of those, the times are very different. But that's if we win out. Hopefully Samford does. Everybody should be sure to tune in. Let's get to State of the Bulldogs. Like we said a little bit, baseball is the only, outside of track, the only sport ongoing. So we're gonna get to State of the Bulldogs. Recapping first, we'll lead it off with baseball. We lost the final series of the year to Wofford. The SoCon tournament begins this weekend. UNCG is your 1 seed and regular season champion. Samford is the 2 seed. We will face the winner of ETSU and VMI/Mercer. Those games played on Thursday, and then we'll play on Friday. Brooks Rice is the headline coming into the tournament. He's back from injury. Got dinged up against Wofford in his return. Hopefully he can bounce back strong because we're certainly going to need him to play at a high level if we want to make a run. And then, Mike, talk to us about track.
Yeah, we got 4 guys heading up to Lexington, Kentucky this week, I think starting on Wednesday for the NCAA divisionals. So we've got senior Titus Moore in the 110 hurdles, sophomore Zephaniah Carrico McClellan in the 800 meter, sophomore Jaggard Moore in the high jump, and freshman Brendan Vanderpool in the pole vault. So again, 4 guys heading up to Lexington this week for the divisionals. If they do well there, they can head out to Oregon for the nationals. Unfortunately, no women made it to the divisional round, despite having 7 conference champions. And I believe there were 18 conference champions for Samford. But the way that as we just learned today, college track is a little bit weird. They've got only a handful of individuals make it to the divisional round based on times and records and coaches' decisions. So be on the lookout for some track guys starting on Wednesday the 22nd.
And Grant, wrap it up with the portal, man.
Basketball portal, as I mentioned last week, Chor was able to get into Kansas State transcript issues, so he has been committed and signed to Kansas State. So just a big picture for Samford. Just glad that's finally over on my view. I'm tired of tracking the whole thing. So basically, we know what to look forward to next year. Samford has 3 open scholarship spots as of now. There is an NCAA dead period this week from May 16th to May 24th, so you can't have any guys on campus. So maybe there is some good Samford basketball news on that front coming this week. But again, Chor going to Kansas State. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. We don't need to rehash that discussion on what we felt about his departure, him maybe coming back and then going into the portal on the final day of entry. So Samford will have 3 spots open to work with.
Be sure to tune in to the SoCon baseball tournament this weekend. Samford starts it off game. Their first game is going to be 12:30 p.m. Eastern time in Greenville. We hope everybody has a great week. Go Dogs. And hopefully we're catching you all live, recapping SoCon tournament action so far and looking ahead to the championship game. With that, the State of the Bulldogs is out.
Hey, you already know. Samford, you better get that ring, man. Hey, love y'all. We love y'all.